Hello. Hi, everybody. It's two of us right now. Manya is stuck in a meeting, and we seem to have lost track of Nikki. We don't know where she went. She seems to have disappeared. We don't know. So the agenda's been slightly changed for the night. You are stuck with the twinsies over here. Over here. Hi, twinsies.
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 Or clones. Twins or clones. I can't keep track.
Both? I don't know. Oh, what? Hold up. We can hear me. Hold on. Let me just... There we go. Okay. So, we've got the two of us until Manya joins us and until we send a checkout, a wellness checkout on Nikki. And until then, this is what we get. So, we're making a slight addendum. And the first story, because I come prepared just in case stuff like this happens. So, I'm going to show you. I'll turn on screen share. And we're going to pick my notebook. Welcome to my beautiful, lovely notebook, as you can now see. Can you see? I can't hear you. You're muted.
I see. I was muted. I'm sorry.
Oh no,
Yeah,
I made myself
really
weird. There we go.
It's almost impossible to read, but I can see it.
That's okay. I can zoom it in. If you click on me, it will make it bigger.
If you're reading, I have the listening skills.
I will. Aww. Aww. Alright, so we're going to fly by the state of our pants a little bit because our plans have been thrown off a little bit. So let's see how we do. So the first one is, I'm a STEM student that has been struggling to deal with the boys club, and today I got a win. I'm in my 4th year of university taking engineering. Being a woman in STEM has been challenging for me. I've been ignored, dismissed, and had professors, TAs, and peers be sexist. Instead of take it in stride, I've gone into my shell. For every time I've been interrupted, I've stopped asserting myself. I won't take the lead anymore for fear of being told I'm bossy. My confidence has taken a major hit. I'll explain concepts to my peers, and they won't believe it's correct until a man backs me up or agrees. I'm exhausted, and for years I've wanted to quit and move on. I feel excluded and alone. Regardless of how bright and capable I am, I feel like I'd never be hired, and I'm incompetent, and no one would ever listen to me. Sucks. I've been there. Have you been there?
Oh, yeah. I think most people have at one point in their life. I mean, unless some people just win at everything, but I'm not one of those people.
I imagine it being rough, being in your 4th year of university and just being in 4 years of it. I think most people have situations or have a class that they're in that might elicit this kind of response where they're kind of just beat down a lot. But to go through this for 4 years of education,
yeah,
that's a big
deal. And you don't know what started before that too. A lot of people's childhoods set them up for this kind of thinking in the first place. So then when you go through something like this, it's just compounded, you know, as a framework. So it's interesting. I want to get to know these people more, you know, their backgrounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of my degree is that we need to complete practicums at real companies. So practicals. So throughout the job search, I've been applying to positions that are far below what I'm capable of and qualified for. I've been applying to positions that first-year students get and paper pusher positions that don't really give you responsibility or experience. I just wanted someone to hire me where I can complete my work and finish my degree, then never work in this field again. There was one company that wasn't like that. They were they were a well-rated, thriving company and would challenge me, and I would get so much out of having a job with them. They are in the field that I'd want to work in, even if I did use my degree. I passively sent in a resume thinking that I'd never get an interview. I didn't even write a cover letter. Lo and behold, I got an interview, and then I got the job. The way they speak to me and all the interactions I've had with them is so incredibly obvious they value their employees, and they are a modern company that cares. I feel so incredible. I'm excited to work for them, and this is an amazing opportunity for me. I'm tearing up writing this because I felt so crushed during this entire process, but this is a major win. I got the job, and I couldn't be happier. Thank you for listening. I just really wanted to share this with someone. Edit, thank you everyone for the support, encouragement, and advice. Many people have shared their experiences and stories. I'm incredibly hopeful and overwhelmed by the kindness everyone has shown. I can only imagine being beaten down so badly for 4 years and then to have like a passive flippant thing that you sent to a company be like, no, we like you. I can't hear you, sweet.
I'm so sorry. I'm muting when sorry. No, I'm saying it must feel like winning the lottery, something like that. When you feel like nothing could be worse, and then just that luck. But it's not even just luck. I assume that it was earned. She just didn't realize how well she was really doing and her potential. So someone saw it, and hopefully that's what she continues with.
And hopefully she can maintain that and feel better about her degree and actually using it. Kawasa for 5 says, do we have to bring our own cuffs and lube to this BDSM party? Does it violate social distancing rules? Well, not yet. It doesn't until Nikki shows up.
Yes. And make sure you're wearing your mask. And it's all fine.
So I grabbed a couple of the comments from this one. And it says, congratulations, I'm disappointed that the university still has a sexist environment, but I'm thrilled that you found a company that values and appreciates your knowledge and hard work. I'm a woman who got my engineering degree in 1983. 1983. BSEE. I'm not sure what a BSEE is. I'm assuming it's the kind of degree, like a Bachelor of Science in Engineering something.
It's something specific, yeah. I'm not sure either.
Worked in the industry until 2000. I couldn't take it anymore. So this person did their degree in 83, worked in the industry from when they finished their degree until 2000, and then they left because they couldn't handle it anymore. I am now teaching science and STEM in elementary school. I love my teaching job and feel like I'm making a contribution here. But I know so many women who have left engineering because you're always having to prove yourself. The struggle is exhausting. Best wishes and congratulations again for making it through 4 years. I
really wish we had Manya here for this.
Right?
Oh, I'm sure she has some insight and experience.
I'm betting she's in a meeting, so she's probably not listening right now. But she's gonna beat us up later.
Yeah.
I had it much better than my mother, and I expect the women of your generation to have it better than me. Change comes slowly, but it is coming. So there's like a little bit of hope in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's real though.
It is. Well, I mean, it happened to me. I worked manufacturing, and they literally didn't let me do anything, or learn anything, or do anything outside of go clean.
Yeah.
Because I was a small female.
Yeah.
I'm not in engineering by some definitions. Depends on who you ask. But a computer scientist. Definitely STEM. I understand the feeling. Oh, really?
I'm sorry. Are you saying that there are different ways to interpret engineer? Is this a common thing?
Is this person saying that by engineering they mean they're specifically within the computer bit of engineering, and some people may not considering that engineering by depending on what kind of engineering you're talking? Weird. You mean
it's really
people
weird.
aren't
I've never heard of such a thing.
Bizarre.
Sarcasm is thick.
Ooh.
Moving on.
This is going into some lore. That's what this is doing. I've been in the industry for 7 years now. I thankfully had minimal issues in college, or else I probably wouldn't have stuck it out. I did have sexism issues in my internship and my first team at my current job, and a bit of my third team. Currently, I have a team member who mostly seems scared of me rather than not wanting to work with me due to my gender. Unfortunately, you will have wins and losses throughout your career. However, I agree with what others have said to you. It'll only get better as more women join careers that have been male-dominated. I also have seen little to no issues from men my age. I do think that some of this problem will die out as men who accept us as part of the norm join the workforce too. I get that you are seeing it in college, yes, but as those men join teams where culture shames those who belittle women, they'll be forced to change as well. I wish you all the best in your journey and encourage you to keep your chin up. Not all men are monsters, and I think you'll be able to find places beyond this one workplace which will value you and for the perspective you bring to the table. Feel free to message me if you need to vent, but I know you can do it. And when you doubt that, look up imposter syndrome. It's not abnormal to feel like you don't belong or you know less or that you can't do it. Feelings like that aren't actually a reflection of what you can truly accomplish. Aww.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah.
Very well said.
There's some good comments.
That's really good.
I think that this kind of gets down to the situation of, this is going to be a struggle for a lot of people through a lot of their careers or continuously at different points through their careers until it gets to the point. This is the thing with programs that encourage more women to take on these kinds of roles. Yes, should you be required to hire women even though they might not be as well fit for the job? No, not necessarily. However, this is a correctional tool. This is an overcorrection to get women into the place and get it normalized for women to be there, so that way the pendulum can swing back to normal, because there isn't really a role in any place that women cannot be hired or shouldn't be hired because of their gender. It's just gender stereotypes and ideals that tend to mess with that.
Yeah, I think more places, if they got away from hiring people knowing these things, there should be, if you can do an entry exam or test for a lot of different jobs to find out how you qualify without your name, without your gender, and have it start on that, and once you have the foot in the door, then it becomes a little bit more difficult for them to reject you without a good reason.
I did this when I was job hunting a good couple of years ago. I had moved cities, and I was looking for jobs in manufacturing again, and had my name on my resume. Didn't get hired. Didn't even get callbacks. And what I did was I reapplied to all those same places, and I changed the name on my resume, not to a fake name, just to a gender neutral version of my name. Callback, 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 callback. And you want to know how many times I answered the phone and said, yeah, you're speaking to them, that they were surprised that I was a woman, and that they were immediately turned off. And I'm like, I had the qualifications. Obviously, you're calling me. Some bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah, so it helps to become a little bit more clear at that point what's going on.
Came here to say something similar about things getting better as the good old boys retire and get replaced by men who are more accustomed to working with women. Because that's the thing, it's being accustomed to it. It's being used to it. It's not that whether women or men are better or more suited for a job. It's just normalized.
Yeah, it's both. Yeah,
I've seen
as far as the psychology of it, right?
Yes. I've seen a huge difference in the 9 years I've been in the field. From grumbles and eye rolls when they had to take down their bikini posters from their lockers around 9 years ago, to having a male manager my age who has been surprisingly supportive of my pregnancy this year. The problem still exists, but I do think they're getting better. Look at this one.
See, why do they have to take down the bikini posters? Who doesn't like a good bikini poster?
That's, fair enough. I think it's more of too much sexism in the workplace.
I know, but it's assumptions.
I think I'd probably be okay with it, but you want to create a safe work environment, right?
But my point is that there could have been men prior to that were uncomfortable with that being there.
Yeah, the point is that this is a workplace. You shouldn't have what is the equivalent of porn or softcore porn in your workplace. Doesn't matter who you are.
It shouldn't be about sexes, though.
It's not about gender. Yeah, it shouldn't be allowed, period. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So some of my experiences. One manager refused to work with me. He lent me to other teams rather than letting me work on the project that was supposedly so urgent that I had to skip training. He made fun of a coworker when I accomplished a task first. It wasn't directly a statement to me, but it also would be hard to see the motivation as anything else. At least after mocking a man for letting a woman finish work first. Oof. I honestly didn't try to stand up for myself. I am not sure how I would have handled that today. I went to HR at that time, but they did nothing. I got myself out of the team and moved on, but I do wish I had the spine to further pursue consequences for that manager for standing up for myself. A little later on in my career, I had a manager tell me it's unfair, but women have to work twice as hard as men to be considered equal. I kind of sat dumbfounded and felt powerless when the person deciding my job performance says I will not be judged the same as my peers. That same manager later told me to stop wearing jeans to the office as it was unprofessional. The relevant parts to that story are A, I wore basic bootcut jeans that were not particularly fitted, B, my colleagues wore jeans, and C, my colleagues were never told to stop wearing their jeans.
I don't think this is the same person, because I've heard this at least a few times. It's a common thing. The men have no problem wearing the jeans, and then a woman starts doing it, and all of a sudden it's company policy, no jeans. And then the men get mad because the woman ruined the jean policy. Even though she didn't mean to.
And it's like, she didn't.
No.
Hello, who's that?
Hello.
Hello, what's going on?
Oh my gosh, I was out at the farm and I was waiting for the call and it never came through. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, just glad you're okay.
Yeah, I didn't get murdered, I promise.
Oh, I'm so on edge lately. Oh
I
gosh.
was legitimately worried. Oh my gosh. For real, literally all I was doing was just grooming horses. That's it. And my phone just never went off. Oh my god, I'm so sorry.
There are worse things to be stuck doing.
Exactly. I'm not complaining. Although you guys can, because, oh my gosh.
No. We've been keeping busy.
Okay.
I've always got something on the back burner.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So let us know when you're ready. I can just finish reading this and then you can get us up to date on what's going on.
Awesome. Yeah, heck yeah.
Okay. So, where was I? Oh, yeah. However, he was so much better than my previous 3 managers, and HR had already failed me before, so I said nothing and did nothing. I stopped wearing jeans. I would have just kept coming to work wearing jeans and being like, good luck, motherfucker. I guess you gotta take jeans away from everybody then.
Yep.
Then it's my fault that jeans get taken away, like you said, right?
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I don't even own a pair to this day. Oof. Again, it would have been nice to stand up for myself, but I was pretty fresh out of college and my HR department could not give fewer shits about my experience. I'd like to say that I have figured out how to handle unbalanced management. However, I don't believe I have. I certainly have grown enough in my confidence around my abilities and what I bring to the table that I won't take misconduct from my peers. I wish I could offer you advice, but I'm still learning myself as I'm still in my 20s and still figuring out this whole thing called life. I do have a large catalog of bad managers and all sorts of types to reference when considering a new manager, and thankfully I seem to have a great one now. Good luck. Let me know if you figure it all out first. Hopefully you won't need to. It takes all types, and sometimes we need to learn from each other, men and women, to figure out who's good to work with, who's good to work for, and learn from those experiences moving forward. Because, like, if there was a guy getting shit on at my workplace, I wouldn't be fine with that either. So,
no, of course not.
So it's about recognizing a shitty manager when a shitty manager is being shitty. It has nothing to do with gender, even though this is a common story. It's about good management, because a manager should treat people with equity. Being
right,
like,
exactly.
if this person is not so... Like, gender, not relative. equity doesn't apply to the gender necessarily. It applies to what the worker is capable of. So if this person is really good at this task and not so good at this task, and this person is really good at that task but not so good at this task, then you want to put them where they're going to be most effective, except when you have time to swap them. And you swap them so that both of them get better at that task. Because it's a matter of understanding your employees and understanding what they are capable of, what they're good at, what they're bad at, and working and managing around that.
Amen. Hello, Manya.
Oh, damn, we got another one.
Hello. Sorry I'm late.
We're just picking up hitchhikers.
I'm so sorry. I was in a meeting and I just left the meeting, so yeah. It's evening here and I work on a evening shift. That's why. Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're good.
It's fine.
Okay. All right. What did I miss?
We were talking about a woman who was in engineering who was having a lot of issues and annoyance in dealing with the men in their field that are kind of like a woman has to work double as hard.
I know, I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah, tell me about it. Oh God, I can empathize with that so much. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's carry on and let's see what we got.
Oh, we just finished it. Do you have any stories?
Well, yeah, we have had this. We have this like one odd colleague, who are old school and they're from the older generation and they end up, joking about stereotypes about women. Now,
Goddamn boomers.
Yeah, but there are different types too. So you have to be very careful. There's some, where you make fun of stereotypes. That's why you talk about stereotypes, right? And then there are people who actually, impose those stereotypes on you. So we always get ones who make fun, and then we have ones who are always imposing those stereotypes on you, and you're like, please leave me alone, go away. And yeah, it becomes very difficult to work with them because they don't want to listen to you because one, you're a girl, two, you're from the younger generation, so what would I know about it, right? And
so it's ageism
three,
and
they know it all.
sexism? Oh, and they're arrogant. That's a nasty combination.
Yeah. Oh, it's very hard to deal with. It's very hard. Yeah. You and it's funny that it's the women who end up adjusting or working around these guys. Nobody tells the or advises these men to change their behavior because I guess they're like, well, they're gonna retire anyways in a few weeks or months or something
it's
like that.
It's
so
not,
what's
it's not
the
a,
point?
to them, it's not a fight worth fighting.
Yeah, but for me, it's like, well, they will be setting a precedent here for others who are coming, Let me tell you, there have been other men who have been very respectful and who don't toe the line at all. They stay within their boundaries and they never, ever will make a joke like that or impose a stereotype at you. But you'll always find these categories of men, especially in technical fields because STEM is not a woman-dominated field yet. So yeah.
Well, and the thing is that no field should be determined by the gender of the people who work there.
Yes.
No field should be determined that way.
Yeah. Well, if you go with we had like in New Zealand there was this big case that happened of of sexism and misogyny in the bars association in amongst the lawyers where women were treated very, very poorly, were joked about on their told to look prettier and that their only job was to bring in the clients because they look pretty and such, and total misogyny all around, and that was exposed, and but what was done about it, don't know yet. It was just hidden behind curtains, if I might say, and nobody knows what happened next. But women a lot of women did come forward and say it might look that it's very attractive to join such a profession, but women suffer a lot. They suffer a lot, and they have to go through a lot. And they're told to, develop a thicker skin, but why? Why is there a need to even tell them to do that? They should feel safe and they should feel welcomed in a profession. It's not something to be proud of to be able to deflect, misogyny or sexism or, chauvinistic comments and all that. It's not a badge of honor. It's an extra burden, especially a mental burden on women to deal with every day, along with the. Yeah, I can go on about this.
I'm a bit of a saucy pants, so usually go figure, right? So usually when somebody gives me, right? So if somebody gives me a hard time about like this kind of this kind of way where it's like, oh well, no, you're a female, you need to be more this way, I will actively do one of two things. I will either do it way too much, or I'll keep doing it more. So it's like, oh, you're a woman, you should smile more. I'll just be like, all the time around all your fangs. Or they're like, oh, you're a woman, you should be happier all the time. Oh, hey, how you doing? I hope you're okay. I hope your day's been good. And I'll just like way over. I don't have patience for that shit.
Yeah,
I got no time for it.
Yeah, I'm actually very lucky that in my office, like, I don't have to face such things. There's one odd in there, somewhere. But apart from that, everyone, because it's a very diverse crew that we have got there. People are from Fiji, from Samoa, from, Pacific Islands, and New Zealand, of course, and England, and, all around the country. I'm from Indonesia, China, so it kind of, everybody respects each other. So, I've had a very low taste of that type of environment. Lucky me.
I've dealt with it like a good number of times, but at the same time, it's kind of whatever to me. Like, I'm so used to people just kind of being assholes in general that I just don't care.
Yeah. You're like, whatever, go your way.
I'm like, okay, at me. What are you gonna do about it?
I know what you will be like. You will just go to them and say, what? You'll
I
make
do have
your
a
face
question.
against them.
I do have a question for Manya. Do you ever feel like you have to not necessarily prove yourself as an engineer, but do you feel as though you need to work not only harder but better than the men around you just to be given the same amount of respect?
Yeah, I have to work harder. I have to extract my part of my work from my colleagues, because sometimes it can happen that my colleagues, they hound over all the work and I don't get anything, and I have to like literally fight with them, like, to do, this is my job, let me do it. It happens a lot.
That's exhausting.
Yeah, that's exhausting. Yeah, because you feel like you're progressing with your colleagues and managers, and then another
One
part
step
of your
forward,
job
two
pops up,
steps back.
and you have to fight for it again and again and again. That, okay, this is my thing, let me do it. And
I feel like your best chance is to just document everything in a workplace all of the time.
Oh, yeah.
Document everything.
Yeah, through emails.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Especially through emails, it's very important. And if you have a phone call, just summarize it in the end. Oh, so this is what you want me to do, right? And then just send it off. And if you can CC your manager in it, awesome. Because
Kimo was asking, is it more financially difficult for a woman to achieve a STEM type qualification?
I know it's not about finance. It's about the encouragement that women are given to pursue STEM type qualifications, and actually to pursue them professionally after achieving those qualifications. Because most of the time, what happens back in my home where I come from, half of the time I would say, not all the time, women get a qualification just to find a suitable groom. So if they have an engineering qualification, they will they will be at a higher tier and they will get a higher, paid groom. But now, because of the economy and stuff, it's becoming more important that women work because, families can't sustain and survive on just one income. So it's becoming important for women to also work. So now, slowly, women are expected to work in their fields of qualifications. So yeah, so it's what push you're getting from the back. Some kids, some girls, like my parents were they were like, okay, you got a qualification, you gotta work, go ahead and find a job, blah blah blah. But sometimes it's also like, especially for kids whose parents are not from STEM qualified fields, they don't know where to go. They don't know where to go for practical knowledge. That's also very hard. And for women, it can be harder because, one, they're not encouraged to go into that field. Two, when they do come into that field, everybody's fighting their own battles to find a place. And there's no, that's what I always have trouble with STEM, STEM fields, that they don't provide that practical knowledge that is needed. There's a huge gap between what's going out, what jobs what jobs are out there in the world, and what we are teaching in the universities and colleges. Yeah, there's no practical connection in there. There's no connection, because yeah, theory is all good, but how is that theory being used practically out in the world?
Right.
What are the current jobs?
Well, that sounds like a lot like just a general education issue. So something that I have noticed, and I don't know if this is just me, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. In Canada, we have we don't have like STEM. We have the same thing. It's just not called that. But for technical fields like that, we have things in place that make it financially easier for women to get into these kinds of fields in education, not in the field, in education. So like if you're a woman going to be a mechanic or in machining, you'll get bonuses, like bonus discounts or bonus money from the government to buy the necessary tools that you need, like the toolbox and all. Like I need Allen keys, I need blah, 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 blah. So you'll get funding for that. However, on the other hand, you run into the other side of the problem. So getting into the field financially is a little bit easier in regards to money and only money. However, taking the classes is difficult, and you do run into problems when you start looking for jobs once you're finished school. So financially, in that way, it's not easier because you have to spend your time in school and then spend your time job hunting, doing a lot of kowtowing around old gentlemen of a very specific persuasion that happen to be a giant pain in the ass, where it's like if you're not sucking up to them, they're not interested. They would rather have I'm gonna have this girl who wants to basically suck my dick working for me, who's gonna like go get me coffee and be like a mat, like a doormat that I can walk all over, than a woman who's gonna be like, no, this isn't my job, go get your coffee yourself.
Yeah. The thing is, in India, it's like for education for girls till high school is practically almost free, depending on which district, which state you're from, and what their local programs are. Mine was very cheap. My education till high school was very, very cheap. And when I got into college, because it was a government-run college and I was in a very good city that came directly under the central government, so they had schemes for girls, and there would be discounts to our fee, for girls especially, not for boys. But on top of that, how girls are treated. For example, I faced two professors who did not believe that girls belonged in engineering, and they would treat them horribly, like as if we are idiots, and would not provide any resources or any help. but then we would have other male professors who would be like, it's all right, chill, we'll get through it, So there's always the good and always the bad. And after you finish, and there would always be like, when it used to come to practical projects and stuff, we would be left, if you're not above average, if you're not a brilliant student, because the students who are in the upper tier who
It's
score good marks,
it's easier to get a job as a male if you're average than it is to get a job as a woman if you're average.
yes. And especially in project work also, if you're an average scoring guy or a good scoring guy or a good scoring girl, you will get more help from your peers rather than average scoring students who would not be taken seriously. Especially me, I was an average scoring kid and I would not be taken seriously at all. So I had to do it on my own, whatever I did. I had colleagues, of course, my course mates who helped me out.
Which completely fucking undermines the entire point of education.
Yeah, you're left to fend for yourself, and after you qualify, you're left to look for jobs or to find jobs that you might find that might fit your your coursework all on your own. And there might not be even jobs out there that might match your coursework at all, and you're just sitting there, you don't know what to do, like which professional society to join, what's the criteria and all that shit. There's no help at all. You are fed to do it yourselves, unless sometimes there are some professors who are very helpful, but they can also go to very far, because they're also limited, they're also human. So yeah, it's hard.
It should be really, in my opinion, it should be far more strict in college. Like I understand the workplace being somebody climbed the social ladder or the career ladder and ended up in the position that they're in, even though they hold these shitty views. That doesn't mean that like they're not good at their job, depending. Now, something like that you're not really gonna be able to do a whole ton about, and you might not want to for various reasons. However, in a school that's built around education, no matter what the field is not dependent on gender. Period. End of sentence. No. So if you've got somebody who is that person who's climbed up that ladder and has now decided to move into teaching, they cannot bring that with them. Not into a school. Not into a school. And that should be treated far more seriously than it is.
Yeah. We did, like one of the teachers that we had, he used to teach us C++ programming, and he was very rude. Some of his comments were not, nice. And we just had no idea how he got into our college. And at the end of semester, we were at loggerheads, our seniors and us, we were in second year, if I'm not wrong, and our fourth years, we were at loggerheads with this teacher, and we were like, either he goes or we are not sitting for the exam. And it was really our final year students who took the stand, both male and females, who said, don't want to do anything with this professor. He's not taking our vivas, our oral exams, or he's not checking our written exams. We need to go. I was scared as shit at that time. I was a puppy with a tail between my legs, scared that I will be failed in my subject, because I was kind of the one who egged on the rebellion for the second years, So, but yeah, we did end up, kind of, I don't know if he was sent away or was he transferred or we got rid of him, but he was not welcome back in the next semester when this next semester started. So sometimes you do have to take a collective, and it's very good when your male colleagues back you up on it, because then.
And that's incredibly helpful, because they wouldn't want to be in this position either.
No.
Why would they be? Nobody wants to be in a position where they're trying to learn and somebody that they're paying to teach them is refusing to teach them. Like, that's ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah. And but we used to have some, our math professor who used to teach us calculus and stuff. He was the most chill dude on the planet. He did get my name wrong. He used to get my name wrong every time, but he was the most chill dude on the planet. And he would be like, whatever, okay, you have a question, come and talk to me. If you have got the concept right, fine, I'll give you the marks. he was of that caliber. And when I was in New Zealand doing my master's, my research report head was male, and he, treated me with utmost respect. But the program, what do you say, the head, I won't take his name. He was in some other world. He was snobby as hell, and he would act like that he had no time at all, you know. And then we had another version. The person who taught us digital signal processing, he came from another with disdain. Who would ask him questions if it was like related to high school, calculus or stuff, just to get their basics right. He would be just like, "That's not my job. You should already know that. That's something else." That's them
that's
setting
not
expectations from their students.
that's an issue.
Yeah.
Depending on how you look at it in university, specifically in university, the professors, depending on the degree you're taking, particularly this happens a lot in English and history, those types of fields. If the teacher isn't there to teach you, the teacher is there to lecture you, to grade your papers, and then to do their own research. That's what they're really there for. They're not there to be a teacher the same way a high school teacher is there to grade your homework and answer your questions and educate you in that way. University and those degrees are very much, you need to teach it to yourself, because most of it you should know.
Yes.
But then you run into gaps between high school and university and having that understanding. I think a lot of people don't actually tell or college students. Sorry, no. They don't usually tell high school students at the end of their year that it's like, no, the teacher doesn't care about whether you pass or not. They're not there to help you. They're there to lecture you. It's on you to figure it out after that.
Yeah, and I think that's where we fail, and that's where it becomes a little tough for women also, because they're very few in number, and then they don't have resources to go or approach to fill up those gaps in knowledge.
When you run into the extra step of that being like, not only am I not here to teach you, but I also look down on you because of your gender.
Yeah. Yes, Miri, college sounds like a pain in the ass. It was, trust me.
Yes.
And I wish I could go back again. I love that pain.
So we have gotten way off a topic. So Nikki, do you have a presentation for us?
Yes, I do. Ooh.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
Do you wanna link me up so I can show it on screen, or how do you want to do it?
Do what now?
Do you want to send me the link so I can show it on screen, or do you just want to present yourself? Like, how do you want to...
I'm not sure. I just kind of basically just wrote the questions down and stuff.
So you wrote some questions down, we're going to Q&A a little bit?
Yeah, that type of thing.
Good. Then I will allow you to take the lead.
Right. I do have one resource that I have in there, though, that I will send you over Discord here in a second. Oh, there it is.
Sounds good.
I just had to find it. Whew, sorry. Just ate something a little bit spicy. It's not the best idea.
I could use something spicy. Wink, wink. Nudge, nudge. Know what I mean? Know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Is your wife a goer?
What?
All right.
It's a really old Monty. It's a Monty Python sketch where Eric Idle just sits down and is just like, "Is your wife a goer? Eh? You know what I mean? Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. You know what I mean? Know what I mean?
Oh boy.
Am I surprised that the Canadian can quote Monty Python? No. No, I'm not.
No.
No one ever expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I should
Give
go for
her
a
the comfy chair.
Oh yeah, did you guys see my new throne? It's like so good. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Monty's got the comfy chair going on. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that you called it a throne.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's what it is, isn't it? Every girl has a throne. Shish, what you drinking?
I just had some water. I was drinking before, so I just had some water because it is boiling up here. I am currently melting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's getting cold down here.
So you mean it's 50 degrees, right?
It is, well, it's probably not now because the sun's gone down, so it's probably a little bit cooler, but it was nearly 40 degrees today, Celsius.
Oh,
Oh wow.
oh, Celsius.
Wow, that's like back home
Yeah.
in India. Dang. Hey, sister.
I am sweating balls.
Balls.
Balls!
Oh wow. I
Okay.
remember when we used to be back home and we used to have these huge like long power cuts for like starting from minimum hour to 3 hours, sometimes the whole day. And you know, we would just sleep without aircon or fan. Like
There is no air conditioning in this room, and it's right above a garage. I'm also sitting
What?
beside a warm computer that's shooting hot air at me. And I've
I
also
feel
got
for
this
you.
heat machine over here, this dog, who I moved the fan so he could have it because I'm a nice guy. And the fan is pointing at the dog, cooling him down while I just sit here and
Oh.
suffer between like just two heat-making machines.
Oh wow. I feel for you, Shesh. I feel for you.
I'm
so
the
bad.
idiot wearing sweatpants, so I can't fucking say anything. I don't own any shorts. I do not. I was wearing shorts on stream the other day. They're my mother's shorts. I don't own a pair of shorts.
Yeah, she's Canadian. Come on.
Yeah, I also don't own any shorts.
I also have not shaved my legs in like 3 weeks because who's gonna make me? Michael doesn't exist.
What?
I should
who
shave
shaves their
my
legs?
head.
Oh yeah, I remember when my hair was like Shesh's length, and oh boy, it feels like you're carrying an extra, set of weights on your head, and when it gets hot, oh my goodness.
It's so hot and heavy. Ugh.
And then you have that headset on your head. Oh my goodness.
So
Shit.
you can actually, while Necky's getting stuff pulled up, because you haven't sent me the link yet.
Oh, I have it. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So my hairline. So when I first started showing up,
I sent
on
it to you over
streams-
Twitter, by the way.
Oh, Twitter. Okay. When I
sorry.
first started showing up on streams, I dyed this back chunk of my hair, and now you can see how long I've been on streams for because you can see how long it's dyed. So my hair has grown from here down, here downwards, and it's been trimmed. So my hair has grown from here upwards. So it's been about that long that my hair has grown since I started showing up on Steve and Reds and their channels. So it's on Twitter. Okay, I will go find it. Sorry, I thought you said you were putting it on Discord. So my confusion, I will pull that up and I will screen share for you when you are ready. You let me know when you're ready.
Sorry, I started yawning.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. Oh, we're doing aftercare.
Ooh,
Awesome.
beautiful. That's one of our links, I think. So that's
just put this
Nikki's
over
one of our sources.
So, do you want me to screen share now, or do you want to do your presentation and let me know, or?
That is specifically for aftercare and stuff. Sorry, I had myself muted. I was trying to say something a little bit. But yeah, I honestly, I should have given you a picture or something to post while I'm talking about this. But
No, go for
maybe
it.
I can find one while I talk.
No, don't worry about it. Just focus on what you want to say.
Heck yeah. All right, so I guess we're gonna do a discussion, and Chesh gave me a couple questions that I read off and basically answered questions to. So we're gonna start off this with first of all, you should start your journey online. If you've always been turned on by BDSM or fantasize about it, I would definitely recommend going on a community open conversations outside of being a dom or a sub. Talking is super important. I mean, communication is the basis of this entire experience. And if you can't communicate properly, if you can't communicate well, then honestly, you should learn how to do that before you get into this lifestyle because it is incredibly important.
Whoa, we don't know people who are bad at communicating, right?
Do what?
I said we don't know people who are bad at communicating, right?
Out of this group, no. But when you're young and you first start out and you're your very first couple relationships, you don't talk to the other person and it falls apart because of it. With this, it's a little bit more serious. your safety is involved, the safety of the other person is involved. There's so much that goes into like talking and communicating. But also community is important. Try and find your community. And like I said, if it's your first time, if it's your first foray, I would 100% recommend going online and figuring it out first. Like you can meet with people who know what they're talking about and call and talk, but honestly, typing it down and just basically not experimenting, but just putting your tendrils out there just to see what you're interested in. And then when you start with your full stops. Look at what certain things you absolutely do not want to try and figure it out from there. Definitely, of course, a lot of people go in with just gung-ho, this is what I want to try, this is what I want to try, this is what I want to try. But start on your soft spots first.
Start on your expectations.
Yes, yeah, definitely, 100%. You can get hurt if you don't temper your expectations. It's very important that you start slow. There's I've had one accident that I'll get into a little bit later, but I did have one accident that did hurt me while I was in the middle of a scene. So yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you're saying like go and look out for these communities. Can I ask you, where did you find your community at? Like, was it local or was it online? Like, yeah, how was it?
So my first experience was online. I was actually going to get into this a little bit later, but we can do it now. I started my journey on Reddit, and then I basically just went to a regular subreddit, it's just BDSM subreddit basically, and I started just talking to people. I put down certain things that I was like looking for, and then I just started talking to the people who messaged. With that, it's really all about exploration, especially if you don't know anything about it. Let's see, there may be things that you find out as you play, but have the discussions first, then figure it out later. Okay. And then, of course, with Reddit and with everything that's online, just be careful about your identity. Try and stay as
safe and try not to just give out your personal information to random people online who didn't ask for it.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. That was I've actually ran into a problem with that, and it was pretty scary. So yeah, definitely. Start off with people that you're playing with online, and start off with as little information as possible, and then just basically go from there. Let's see. These are all just prerequisites. So before you play, first of all, the very first time, go over hard limits, soft limits, make a plan, discuss exactly what will be happening. Then before you start, make a safe word. Practice the safe word, say it just over and over again. You need to repeat these processes. It really does help if you have like your hard limits and soft limits written down and posted somewhere within the room that you are experimenting in. Let me see. And then my recommendation on your first couple times, is start with what I did anyway. Sorry, this is my recommendation personally. I went with green, yellow, and red, and then I have just a full stop safe word as well. So with these, green is
that's
for
a good idea.
hesitation.
You're saying like having tiers of okay, you can keep going, but caution in what you're doing. Yeah. That's a cool idea. I didn't consider that. Yeah.
Exactly. And with these safe words, it can kind of help you either break from the moment or stay in the moment. So, for example, you would go green. Green would be more of like something for your dom, who's like if he hesitates or he thinks maybe he went too far, you can say green and try and stay in that moment. Yellow means slow down or stop for a moment. This can mean if like you're overwhelmed, if you're scared, if it's too much pain at once.
Smitty says slow your roll.
Exactly, yeah. Slow your roll. And then red, of course, is full stop. And this is very, very important. If your safe words are ignored, you need to drop that dom immediately. Now, accidents happen, and they could have just tried. One of your limits might be something that they used to do to somebody else or whatever. Of course, give them some leeway, but if it's something like you said your safe word and they didn't stop doing what they were doing, at the end of the scene, completely drop that 100%. Like, if they can't pull out of that moment and they can't, if they don't care about your safety and your comfort and your experience, then I've heard of some horrible stuff happen with people's safe words.
So Komodo in the
very
chat
sad.
is asking, "Ouch doesn't count?" Question mark.
It does not count, no. I mean, I've done this thing where I've
Discuss that
tried
ahead
to
of
say,
time.
"Ow."
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. That's communication. It goes back to that.
Yeah. So it is so yeah, that's very important, isn't it? If like Nikki said, if there's a word when you're suddenly it's too much for you, like red, when when you're hurting too much and you can't take it. So there's a word for that. Yellow is the word. What was it, Nikki? Again, yellow was the word for
Slow down.
slow
Just
down.
like slow down, or like give me a second. Just
Yeah.
I need a breather type of thing.
And the green is like carry on with what we were what we had discussed or what we had planned, and keep going. So it's very important, like Nikki said, it's very important that your communication and that and if it can happen, I think so, Nikki, yeah, right, sometimes that you do not anticipate a situation and it pops up. I guess in that case the best thing will be to just go with the red word to stop. Right?
If that's what you want. Well, that's the point of having like
yeah.
the progressive words. If your dom starts trying something new that you didn't want, that you didn't actually discuss because it happened to come up, not because they're purposefully trying to push you. If you think they're personally trying to, like, actually trying to push you, you've got another problem on your hands. But if it happens to come up and someone is trying something that you didn't think was going to come up, so you didn't discuss it beforehand, that's why you have like the continual safe words. You have like the green, I'm okay with you trying this, yellow, whoa, okay, hold on, I don't know about this yet, and red for no, and then stop for okay, you need to stop now. Yeah like in its entirety.
Yeah I think that's what Nikki meant. Hey, Nikki.
Sorry, I was talking while I was muted.
You're worse than I am.
Say something. But that's the thing, though, is a lot of this stuff, especially with before you do a certain thing, make sure that you have these certain things in place. It's going to happen. But that's
safety in case something does come up that you're not like be prepared. So you have like safety nets in case something that you weren't prepared for does come up.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing. Pushing isn't bad. It's just the first time that you try something, the first couple times that you try something, especially with this, especially when you don't have an out, have a plan beforehand. But later on, when the pushing comes, that's what the safe words are for. If you go in blind to an experience, which I do like, I don't like to know anything about what's going to happen. I like it to be kind of a mystery, especially if it's going to be like a long scene. Like, we'll have discussions about certain things that we like beforehand, but it's not just a straight up plan.
Right. So you can have that. These are my hard limits. These are my soft limits. But still, that can be like a big gap in between to be like there's a whole ton of room where you don't necessarily know what's going to happen or go down.
And again, each one of these experiences, each time that you do something, it could be completely different. Like, you might want to know every single step of the process every single time.
And plus, you can
completely up to you. Yeah.
Because you can progress that to being like, listen, it's your first couple of times. You want to know everything that's going on, and then as you get more comfortable with that partner, you can start loosening those constraints as you become more. It's not a permanent thing. It's not like it always has to be this way every single time. That's the point of the discussion. As you become more comfortable with yourself, and you become more comfortable with your partner, and they become more comfortable with you. It takes at least two to tango, right?
Yeah. And again, if you feel like you want to have a very strict regimen every single time that you go, that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Me personally, I like certain things, so it's every single person is different. Don't feel weird because you want it a specific way. That's definitely that has to go with, you know, you searching different people and finding certain things that you like, certain things you don't like. That's why you need to talk about this type of stuff before you meet. So yeah, that's basically it for the prerequisites. So we can move on to the questions. We have a couple questions here. So one of them started off with, how do you decide BDSM is something you want to try? And honestly, I have a bit of a bad answer. Just try it, honestly. That's the only thing I can really say. Personally, that's my advice. Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, there are so many different subjects. There's so many different things you can try, literally.
It's kind of a don't knock it till you
handcuffs.
try it kind of thing. Like if you're
Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
if you want to, just kind of go for it and just be safe
Yeah.
about it.
Exactly, yeah. Make sure that you practice all the stuff that I mentioned before.
That's what the
with
safe word is
the-
for. If you start trying it and you decide you don't like it, you go nope,
Yep.
and you just nope out. You don't owe this other
Yep.
person anything.
Yeah, I think so. That's another thing to really keep in mind. You don't owe anything to your partner in in this whole relation. It's something that you negotiate from the start. And negotiation also is I think so. It depends on how comfortable you are with some things. Like Nikki said, there might be times that you are open to trying everything, but there might be times where you just shut the doors on something and you don't want to try them at all. And if your partner, whether it's sub or dom, wants you to is trying to, you know, cajole you, if I can use the word, to get into those when you clearly don't want to try them, then you don't owe it to them. You don't owe it to them. You have every right to say, nope, door closed. I am not going to talk about that again. You're not going to try that. Let's move on. Yeah. Nikki?
Let me just clear my throat really loudly into the microphone.
So
Um,
is it all right what I just said, like about?
Oh yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
100%. I mean, it's everybody's individual.
I'm good at theory. Practical, I have no idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could start from literally just like simple handcuffs to a little bit of spanking to like sexual tasks. It's a gradual process and it should be taken gradually. But there are so many different things you can try. Like literally just try one thing. You don't have to try a bunch of things all together at once.
Right,
Just
so you
try
can
it, maybe
try
just-
a blindfold. You can try a gag. You don't have to be like, I need to be blindfolded, gagged, wrapped up, feet tied, shackled with chains all over. Like, listen, calm down, Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
You know what my biggest fear is? I saw this in a movie. My biggest fear is I saw this scene in a movie where there was this couple who went alone, you know, to a remote, you know, cabin or something to enjoy themselves, and they get into BDSM. And what the guy does is he shackles the woman up, and as he's on top of her, he has a heart attack and he dies. And she's all alone in that bedroom, shackled up.
I know what you're talking
And
about.
that is my biggest fear. So guys, please make sure, in case of emergency, you know who to contact and how to contact.
And to be able to get out. So one of the worst things, I also read this in a story. Apparently, this is a true thing that happens because I looked into it a little bit further. A woman tied herself up on the bed, like arms up, waiting for the dude to come home. He was late for work by like a couple of hours, and she was stuck there, like crying because she used slip knots.
Oh god.
So when her arms got tired, it pulled down on the rope, which caused it to get like she had like blood clot. They had to like if you are in that kind of a situation, do not untie that person. No matter how much they beg, no matter how much they say it hurts, do not untie that person because you do not know if there's blood clotting in their hand. And if there's blood clotting in their hand, the blood will flow up into their heart and it will kill them. So if you find somebody in that situation, call the ambulance because they're the ones who are going to need to be able to make sure that they're going to be okay. So if you're tying yourself up, don't use slip knots. Please don't do that.
Use slip knots. And in case of emergencies, always foresee a situation that these things can go wrong. So be maybe. You know what we do here, like in health and safety, we do a job safety analysis. Maybe do that before you start. So if something goes wrong, you know what to do. So do a job safety analysis.
Yeah, that'll come in a little bit later. Being safe. I do have a.
I always keep on bringing it up before. sorry, Nikki. Where did she go? Nikki?
Sorry, I literally I started talking and then I muted myself and I was I'm sorry. This is a nightmare.
This is a drinking game is what this is.
Did Nikki mute herself? Yes.
You'll be dead by the end of it. Come on.
Oh, dang. Oh, well.
Challenge accepted.
I'll do a job safety analysis before I do that.
Right. Let's see how well you can hold your liquor. But that is an important part of it, and we will definitely get into that later because safety is incredibly important. And this is one of the times where I really wish I would have gotten a picture because I did on my Twitter at the Serrated Kiss, I have posted a couple things about safety.
I'll go look for it.
And that's the start of it. So I could bring that up later. I could try and find that here in a second, but let me finish
let me find it. You go ahead. What you're saying?
Oh, awesome! Yeah. So with my journey, it was the first. Okay, so specifically knowing whether or not this is something you want to try. With my journey, it was the first, let's say, illicit videos I ever watched. Were from kink.com specifically. I can remember. It was literally like the first thing I watched. I had never really gotten into it. I always felt super ashamed. And it would always be like general curiosity when I would look at that type of stuff. But when I finally looked at it for the specific purpose of, yes, it was literally, it was what I fantasized about. Like in the deepest part of me, that's what I wanted. And I don't know the terms. I didn't know the terms at the time. I didn't know the names. I didn't know about limits. I just knew I wanted to basically get tied up. I mean, that's basically where it started.
I don't mean to sidetrack, but I'm on your Twitter, and one of the things I just scrolled by is, it's been great getting to know you over the past 3 minutes, Lisa. It's time I send you a picture of my 4-inch dick.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know why some guys think like if you know someone for like 3 minutes, you're like, hi, hello, yeah, you're good looking. Yep, now you can take my dick pic. There you go. Oh, God.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
I also like the picture of the girl drawing an F on the dick. You failed for wasting my time.
That's my favorite. I love that one. So with my journey, it literally just started off with general curiosity, and that's literally what people do. If you fantasize about something specific, there's probably a fetish, and you could probably look it up and
probably look it up. This is the internet. You can absolutely look it up.
Specifically, look it up to the point where like people will explain it to you. But again, the fundamentals of BDSM is safe, sane, and consensual. That's the basis of everything.
Oh no, it's what was it? Safe, or what was the first word?
It's safe, sane, and consensual. There's another term as well that's pretty
Okay.
similar to
SSC.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and it's. I mean, we could just break down what it means here in a second too. All right, so and then like I said before, I actually started my journey on Reddit, and then I kind of specifically kind of zeroed in on the type of stuff that I like, and it honestly it changed my life.
Well, I mean, take your time, right? You can search
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
broadly at like whatever, and then kind of start trimming out what you think you like, what you think you don't like. I found one of your posts. It says submissive doesn't mean submissive to everyone. It means submissive to who they choose to submit to. Submissive to those who spend the time earning it. Submissive to those who learn why they crave their submission in the first place. Submission is given, not taken.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's the best one. Yeah, see? Okay.
Sorry, I'm trying to yell at somebody to get into the chat. And eventually, if they do get in the chat...
Rude. Did you want to bring a guest on?
I'm not sure. I was gonna ask him here in a little bit. But let me see if he'll get into the chat. There we go. Or come on. For real. All right. So yeah, that's how do I know if BDSM wants to try? That's my answer for that. The next question is how to go about meeting people in safe environment or consent. So meeting people can be a bit of a toss-up. I definitely encourage a series of regular dates. This isn't somebody that you're vetting to just date on and off. This isn't somebody that's gonna take you out to dinner, take you back to their place, and then you leave afterwards. You know, this is somebody that's gonna literally take you and either, well, they're gonna, in a lot of instances, you're gonna be incredibly vulnerable to this person to the point where they could seriously hurt you. So a series of regular dates. I'm talking, you need to meet this person several times. You need to have a ton of different conversations before you even make a plan. And then I'm a bit of a whore, as you probably know, so I would definitely also recommend 1 or 2 bouts of just vanilla intercourse. But basically, it's just called vanilla if it's not BDSM. You just need to see during this point if you're just generally compatible. You want this person to like you, and also respect all of your limits, and just try and make sure you're compatible once again.
Yeah, and some people just straight up are not compatible sexually or compatible in communication. Just because you have a hard time communicating with somebody doesn't necessarily mean either of you are wrong. You can both be correct and just communicate in different ways that you just can't make the other person understand. We got 2 super chats. One from Helios for 2. Never put yourself in a position you can't get out of. And Kawasa for 5 says, Miss Serrated, what is your opinion on 50 Shades of Grey? Smiley face, smiley face, smiley face.
I'm sure Nikki has a lot to say about that. Nikki?
She muted herself again.
Again!
Take a shot!
Yeah. So, with 50 Shades of Grey, oh god.
I imagine there's 2 main problems. Let me take a guess and you can tell me if I'm off base.
Go ahead.
First off, it's good to see BDSM being normalized to many people. It's good to see people starting to venture down that path, as in like to not look at it badly and to not look at it in like a way of like this is bad for people or this is wrong or you shouldn't do it. However, I'm assuming, because I haven't read it, it gets a lot of shit wrong and shit's just not that easy. It makes things seem like it's like there's a whole lot of bunched up incorrect myths essentially about how BDSM actually functions.
Yeah. I kind of yeah, go ahead, Nikki. No, go ahead.
No, you're fine. So the biggest problem with this is that it's such bad writing that I never got into it. So I only know certain things about the story that from like
That's
literally
fair.
a third party perspective. I've not, my journey did not start with this, and a lot of people's
Yeah.
have. There is an
Yeah.
incredibly dangerous precedent that is being set with this. The behavior that Dorian Gray, is that his name? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's
I
his
don't
name.
know.
Graves?
It is. It's Dorian
I-
Gray, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean, I
Dorian
didn't
Gray's
read
behavior,
it.
I haven't read it, but I have heard certain things. But basically, he stalks her. He isn't upfront about what he wants in the first place, and they get into a
Yeah.
contract before she knows even what she wants.
Yeah.
Right.
She's
The
a
communication's
virgin,
not
for
there.
God's sake.
Yeah, and like
Yeah,
you
he
can't.
doesn't-
If you're a virgin, you're not pulling off those stunts. It's not that easy. It's not. That's not
No.
how. Bad woman's anatomy everywhere. On the other hand,
Yeah.
apparently,
And a woman wrote.
Right. Probably
Yeah.
a woman who doesn't do this kind of stuff.
No, I think so. It was like the
It's a
author had
fantasy, and it needs
romanticized-
to be.
yeah.
It's a fantasy. It needs to be recognized as a fantasy. On
Yeah,
the
it's
other
a fa-
hand,
and it's
100%.
not. And please do not take it as.
it's just like why you
as
don't
a-
take porn
as
as an
manual for
instructional manual.
BDSM. It's not. It's actually the opposite. It's like
Yeah.
what you're not supposed to do when you're trying to get into a BDSM relationship. You need to give you can't manipulate your partner into signing a contract when they're not knowledgeable about the BDSM relationships or the community and
Or
what they
any
want in general.
relationships, apparently. On the other hand,
yeah.
though, allegedly, because again, I haven't read them, apparently as the books progress, you actually, like, as stalkerish as Dorian Gray is behaving, apparently there's actually, like, justification in what he is and is not doing that ends up like diving into his psychosis a little bit more and finding out why, which is, could be interesting as a character study, not as a
Yeah.
way to behave towards women. Please, it's a
Yes.
fantasy.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. You can enjoy the fantasy, though nobody's stopping you from doing that, but please don't bring it into practical
Don't
or
stalk
into the
people.
real world. Yeah, don't stalk people, don't force them into relationships and without giving them a chance to think about it, don't coerce them. And that's all. Yeah. Cool. All right. Next.
And I'll definitely do a little bit more research on this, and I might come back to it. But honestly, from everything that I've
Yeah, they're reading by
Heard it,
Gilbert
she's-
Gottfried.
oh my god.
What?
See, the only things that I've read from it are the horrible,
Audiobooks.
creepy, awkward, like just like the excerpts from it that are just like
Right.
keep puckered at my
Oh
woman's cave.
My god, do I have an excerpt for you guys? Maybe at the end of this. I'll pull it up and maybe we'll read it at the end.
All right, cool.
Do it. All right. Meeting people. Okay, so we started with meeting people for the first time. Go on a series of regular dates and at least 1 or 2 bouts of vanilla intercourse, just to see if you're generally compatible. Compatibility is pretty important in this, and don't just go for the first person who gives you interest, especially if you don't feel comfortable. That's why you should post stuff online so you get a ton of people who are interested, so you can vet the process. Honestly, like I got super excited the first time I talked to people, but I have an incredible amount of anxiety, so I didn't turn up to 2 rendezvous I was planning, and I stopped talking to people after the couple. That doesn't mean that I was like, hey, let's meet here, and I ghosted them. No, this was, oh, maybe we could meet on this day, and then I realized, going back to the conversation, that this person is into something that I'm not interested in as much. I just got really excited. Definitely try to take your time with this type of thing, especially when you're doing the first one. I knew my dom for 2 to 3 months before we met for the first time, and that was just a normal regular date. And then I went to his place and we did some very gentle, very soft stuff for the very first time that I tried it. before I actually met somebody in real life, I did start doing stuff online. So there's a lot of things that you can get into, like task giving. That's a specific thing that I tried first, and a lot of people might not be into it. Definitely, if you're sending people pictures of tasks that you're doing, do not ever include your face. It doesn't matter if they ask you, please try not to use your entire face. Do hide some of it, in case. So when you're meeting this person for the first time, you just have to realize that you can't have kinky sex all the time. You can, but realistically, you have to find out if you click first, really. I would not recommend going with a Dom who either has too much experience or will not break their Dom character. Basically, if they refuse to talk about anything other than that or other than honest. You need somebody who is, sane, basically. Somebody who's not gonna basically bully you. And if they have too much experience, you're not learning with them. You're just basically being molded by them. I encourage you to try and find somebody who is there to learn with you and not just, this is who you're gonna be, I'm gonna shape you into this character. You have to find out who you are first, and that is super important. So just remember, you're going to be fully vulnerable with this person. Any red flag should never be ignored. If a red flag comes up, discuss it. Discuss it immediately. And if you can't, honestly, I would not recommend getting into a lifestyle until you're ready to start having these conversations, legitimately. So yeah, that's mine about meeting people in a safe environment. Couple dates, regular vanilla sex. That's it.
Compatibility and communication.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's more
all right, I guess we can
C's.
move on from there. Let me see. Is
Before you move on, Chemo is asking, you don't learn from someone with too much experience? I'm confused. So, can you care to elaborate on that a little?
So I don't want to be too, again, this is your experience. If you feel like you want to go with somebody that has a ton of experience, 100% do that. Please don't let my suggestions shape how you are. These are just my general
Yeah, I think so. What Nikki is saying is that
opinions.
sometimes it can happen that if you get into a dom sub relationship without exploring first yourself, like what you like and what you don't like, then sometimes it can happen that you just take on the likes and dislikes of your dom if they are too experienced. So I think so. That's what
They
Nikki
can
means.
shape you. Yeah, they can shape you and push you into certain things that aren't specifically your interests and your likes more than you discovering.
You don't want to
them
be
naturally.
influenced too much to your own experience.
Yeah,
What you want.
exactly.
And also, I was told that Padme the cat is in the chat, so you're aware.
Yes, he is.
Well, Kawasa says, "Oh, I want to be shaped." Well, I mean, that's up to you. We're not saying don't do it. We're not saying don't do it. We're saying be aware that that could happen. So be cautious.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's again, like I said, that's my opinion. That's what I think you should do. If you're going into this completely like raw and going into it like
something's gonna go in
like
raw, but
so like when I so Padme is in the chat, and Padme is my dom. He is the person that I met in person, and we are in a dom sub relationship. I want to get him in to the call, but right now it's better if we just go through the chat. So he was basically just as inexperienced as I was. He had a little bit more experience, I think I remember him saying. But basically we are going through it and we are learning together. Now, again, you might want somebody who has a lot more experience. That's totally fine. But for me, I feel like I'm discovering parts of myself, and I'm more open to experiencing different things because he's learning just as much as I'm learning in every single session that we do. And again, do not back away from somebody who has too much experience. But what I'm saying is, for your first experience, try and go with somebody who is like basically equally matched as you. And again, if they don't break this Dom character, I don't want to say it's a red flag, but honestly, this person needs to talk to you very frankly and very openly, and you're going to be vulnerable with this person. If they can't break from the mentality that they are just a Dom, then that's probably not somebody that you really want to meet for your first time.
What you're saying is, being a Dom in a sexual position, it does not mean they dominate your life.
Exactly. But that's also just, you don't know yet, even if you think you do not know yet if you want to be a 24/7 sub. That might be something that you want to try later, but definitely if it's somebody who just does it 24/7.
You don't want to dive into something like that. That's dangerous.
Yes, exactly. Diving in for your first time is not recommended. So, red flags, and that's everything that I have for that. Do you guys have anything about safe environments and consent? Anything that you guys can bring up as well that definitely helps. Anything? Do you guys have anything else to add to that? Hello?
Oh, did we all run away?
Right.
I'm here.
All right.
I'm here.
Well, I guess
Sorry,
that's
sorry.
it for that.
No,
You're fine. I was just...
I just needed to open the door because I think I heard my not my landlady's cat scratching away. So I think so he was. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I'm running our.
I got left
So-
alone.
Oh, Nikki.
But
yeah. So
is there anything? Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Go on, Nikki. Go on. I didn't.
Oh, I was
go on.
literally just gonna ask if you guys have any other suggestions for that type of stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Some people like they know right from the start what they want and they get into it. But some people want to discover it as they go, like you said, you and your dom are discovering, as you're
Yeah.
together through this process. And some people, like you said, just start with, basic dating and, vanilla sex and take it from there. And
Mm-hmm.
communication is very, very essential. And if you think you are unable to communicate, then maybe first work on that before you get into this type of lifestyle. As Nikki said, you really need to work on your communication skills and develop that confidence. Maybe, like Nikki said, find a community first and ask them how to go about it, how to go about communication, and what to expect and what not to expect before getting into it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wasn't broadcasting to everybody. I was only broadcasting internally. I'm going to repeat myself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not always... If you're having trouble communicating with somebody over sex because you're uncomfortable, it might not be necessarily because you're uncomfortable talking about sex. It might be because you're not comfortable with that person. Now, that needs to be something that could be considered. I'm not saying that is the case, but it is one of the options. That could be the case. But if you're not ready to be having conversations about sex in this way, you might also not be ready for BDSM, and in which case maybe spend time on forums until you are comfortable. If you can't comfortably say, like, put something in my ass, whatever that thing is, you probably shouldn't be putting things in your ass, because if you can't say it, you probably shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
That's the right way to put it, I guess.
What can I say? I have all the best words.
My words, the best words.
There's also a question. There's a question from Todd in the chat that says, does the chick wanting to be treated like an actual dog qualify as BDSM? Maybe. Depends on their situation, doesn't it?
Yeah.
100%.
It could.
We'll get into this a little bit later.
Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Later.
It's a butt
There's,
plug? Is it a butt plug? Are you sure it's a butt plug? I didn't specify what that thing
Anything.
was.
If
you're brave enough.
Brave enough. Yeah.
Nikki's like, oh my god, yes.
Exactly, yes. We're getting into the more interesting versions of this conversation. Okay, we're getting deep. We're getting deep on it.
Oh, baby.
All right, so the
Yeah.
next question that I was posed is communication and how to approach conversation, single or in a relationship. Honestly, again, I said this before, but just be blunt with what you've been thinking. Communication. I can't say this too much. I can't oversay it, all this other stuff, like seriously. Please communicate with the people about what you're interested in. A lot of the times, honestly, the sub lead. It might be surprising for you to see, but if you feel like you just want to have a certain experience, tell that to your dom. Please tell it to them. They will probably relish in the fact that they're giving you what you like. That's the thing. I like to please, and doms, there are doms who definitely like to please their subs. They like to give them an experience that they want and like, and there's nothing wrong with that. Just try and figure out what it is you like and express that in some way. It's the best way to go. Just be very blunt, very straightforward, just discussing certain aspects of your desire or curiosity, and then talking about it can help narrow down what you want, or even narrow down your fetishes. Like, finally realizing who you are in the kink community can change your life so drastically. I cannot emphasize this enough. Like, when I first started, like I said, I didn't know any of the lingo. I didn't know anything about anything. But just discovering who you are and what you like, it's so liberating. It literally sets you free. You stop feeling like a freak. If you feel uncomfortable talking about it in person, go back to online, text them, write a letter, anything that you can do to make your point come across. This experience, BDSM, is all about servicing these hidden, deep desires that you have never told anything about. It's literally about expressing yourself in a way that people are too afraid to express. It's the ultimate satisfaction. And I don't want to sound too like crazy about it, but honestly,
Nah, you're not.
it's literally been the most liberating experience of my life. It's been the most rewarding and opening.
But
and
how can being submissive be liberating? I hear people asking.
Honestly, I don't have an answer for that. It's finding safety and feeling vulnerable. It's enjoying that, like, just amazing, like, pain in the specific places that pain feels good at, and then being with somebody who is open and tuned into what you want and what you need. And it's just, honestly, it's the deepest intimacy I've ever felt with another person. Like, you can have regular intercourse with people as much as you want, but
I guess.
until
Mhm.
Go ahead.
I guess that's because you communicate. That's why. That's why the feeling of intimacy is a lot more, right?
But that's
Because
not it though. It's
oh,
also
okay.
the fact that finding somebody who's willing to experiment with you to the point of, like,
Mhm.
And acceptance, right?
Acceptance,
yeah, and it's experimenting and expressing all these things that you've never told anybody before, or you've always wanted to, or things that you fantasized about. It's liberating in a certain way,
Yeah.
But again, communication and how to approach conversations. Become comfortable with communicating what is needed. It is essential. approaching the conversations, I really don't have anything other than just be blunt and find a certain way
Just
to
spit it
express
out.
this stuff. Honestly, find a way that you're comfortable expressing what you need.
Yeah.
Any way.
You can do it in writing
do it.
if you want to.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I said, write a letter. A very strongly worded letter.
Dear person of interest, I think that I would really like it if you rubbed both of my boobs clockwise and counterclockwise at the same time. K thanks, smiley face, heart emoji, sprayed with perfume, and put in a pink envelope with a little heart sticker that's a scratch and sniff.
Anything, just do it. Oh gosh.
But don't you dare stop my pinky toe.
Yeah. Don't do that.
P.S.
Don't
I
ever.
really don't like it if you push my right boob, my right, not yours, too far to the right. That is uncomfortable. That is a no-no zone.
Yeah.
PSS.
The diameter of rotations should not be more than 2 inches. Thank you very much.
Being that specific would just be great.
Say it on.
Oh, Chemo said, seems very elaborate to me. I think I'm too lazy. And then said, never mind, the way Chesh just described it is not elaborate at all.
Oh, Smitty's going by C+. Okay.
It doesn't
That's it?
do it. Smitty also said to do it in Morse code, like,
Beep, 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 beep.
it's just about communicating. It doesn't have to be complicated. I've had people a couple of times ask me, "Hey, I don't know how to approach this conversation. I'm not very confrontational," or like, "I got a call today being like, how do I do this?" And I'm like, "Listen, just be like, yo, bitch, what's up with this thing?" It doesn't mean you don't have to be aggressive, you don't have to be mean, you don't even have to be confrontational. Just ask a question. Just be like, hey, how do you feel about this? Or, hey, would you be interested? Hey, do you think you would be interested in getting a blindfold? Whether you're a dom or you're a sub, because we've been talking a little bit from the sub perspective. You could do this as like from the dom perspective and have somebody that you want to try that with and say, hey, I am curious and I would kind of like to try some things, or just even going not even that far and just saying, hey, would you be interested in wearing a blindfold next time we have sex? Oh, hey, would you be interested in wearing a ball gag? Oh, hey, would you be interested, etc., etc. Would you be interested in introducing toys into our sex life? It doesn't have to be complicated, and like the conversation just rolls and builds from there. And just because somebody says, no, I'm not really interested, doesn't mean they're necessarily closed off the idea. It just means that they might be shy talking about it, or they might need a little bit more of an open-ended question. Right?
Yeah.
Don't be pushy. Don't be pushy. But just asking a question shouldn't really be that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I think Manya got a call, so shall we continue?
Uh-oh. Let's punch Manya. That's just what's...
Advocating for violence!
Alright, so the next question posed was respecting boundaries and such. The first things you need to do before you start a scene, before you even start a relationship, before you meet up, is establish limits. You have hard limits and soft limits. There are lists you can look at, and this is what I said we would get to. There are full lists of like every fetish ever. There's more practical lists. I'll try to find the one that I was given and post it somewhere, hopefully on this video at some point.
Her links to Twitter are in the description.
Oh, do it. Subscribe to me. Thank you. But basically, just go down the list of certain things. If you don't know what it is, maybe Google it. If you don't want to Google it, just kind of, yeah.
Safe search is not your friend in this case.
Well, see, if you just go to like a subreddit and have a discussion, oh, what is this? What does this mean to you? People reach out to you and let you know. People are super open about sharing their experiences, and a lot of people like to do that. I mean, I like to do it as well. So there's lists that you can look at to kind of just narrow it down to what you want to try, what you're interested in, what you want to do. This is after you figure out whether or not you're a dom or a sub, and a little bit more if you're focused on a certain aspect of that specific moniker, like sub, for example, of course. Just like look at stuff that like subs would do, and see if there are anything that you absolutely would not. For example, I do have all of my soft limits and my hard limits written down somewhere. And one of my hard limits is foot torture. People cannot touch my feet. If anybody touches my feet, that's a complete no-go. And I say it, and I have said it, and I posted it everywhere. So soft limits are something that you have stipulations on, or certain things. Maybe it's something you are scared to do now, but maybe are okay with trying in the future. But hard limits are the absolute no-go. Any of these broken on purpose should be answered with a stop to the scene, and maybe even full cut in contact and play, period. If somebody breaks your limits, if somebody breaks your trust, you absolutely do not need to be with that person.
Big no-no.
Yes, I have heard so many girls ignore the first time that they had a hard limit that was just completely ignored, and then they're in a full scene, and the person straight up breaks it, and they say the safe word, and then that person does not adhere to the safe. That's why you need to try out certain things in moderation, certain things at each time, with a specific person that you want to do a scene with, because when you finally do get to the point where you're super vulnerable with them, it'll be less of a chance that they, the red flags that they've shown before, will lead to something.
Yeah, so yeah, if you're around me and you touch the very like the flat, I don't have a flat part of my foot. My foot is like, if you look at my feet, they're so arched that even this part of my foot does not touch the ground. If you touch the center of my foot, you're liable to be kicked hard. Don't do it.
Like, that's the same with me. I have such high arches, and I work on my feet. So if you touch it, literally, if you just gently press on the inside of my arch, it hurts so bad in a way I could never describe. A person touching or hurting my feet is such a no-go. Like, I'm the type of person in this community that likes pain. I do enjoy pain. It's a part of my process to become satisfied. But there are certain types of pain that you may think that you may like and you may dislike. And having those, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a part of discovering who you are. And putting that down
just
as a hard
because you
limit
like
is
pain
very
doesn't
important.
mean you like pain everywhere all of the time.
Yes, exactly. And don't feel weird about it either. Like, there's a lot of weird no-goes and weird fetishes to begin with. So any of these hard limits or soft limits are, again, totally up to you. Let me really quick just read the actual definition of these.
Yeah, go for it.
So a hard limit cannot be changed by the user once it's set. Hard limits can only be changed by a root user. Let me see, this is wrong. There it is. All right.
Yeah, you can't have your dom changing what your limits are. That's totally up to you. And it's the same way a sub can't. You can't tell other people. A sub can't tell a dom what their limits are, because doms have limits too. There's going to be things that you're not willing to do, and as a dom, and that's okay. You don't have to bend to every single thing your sub wants you to do. But you do need to respect and bend to what your sub does not want you to do, the same way your dom has to bend to. It's about that communication. It's finding that middle ground. Well, I don't like this, and I don't like this, and so neither of us are going to do either of these things.
Yeah. So again, hard limit is pretty simple. It's something that must not be done in any way. If they try to finagle around it, that should be red flag. Like, seriously, there's things that people don't like. Like, just do it. A soft limit, though, it's something that a person hesitates about or places strict conditions on, but for which they may still have informed consent. And actually could be prohibited except under specific circumstances or in an area of discomfort that someone wishes to avoid. Soft limits can also include actions that require a cautious approach or somewhat appealing, still generate an uncomfortable amount of apprehension in one or more partners. So basically it's just, you know, soft limits are a little bit more flexible, but still, if there are strict regulations around it, you know, adhering to that is very important. For example, this is pretty personal, but one of my soft limits is like incest. I do not think like Lolita play is cool, but like somebody who requires me to do stuff around my family, that's completely, you know, it's no go.
That's a no-go, yeah.
Yeah. I don't feel comfortable participating in the lifestyle around my family, but also I don't exactly like the daddy moniker. That's just a soft limit. I just don't. It's not something I'm into. So
You're not going to necessarily end the session if it gets brought up, but you're not into it.
Like in the moment, if someone's like, "Oh, call me daddy," I'll do that, but it's not something that I want to make permanent. So that's a soft limit. You know? So yeah, that's it. It's something that you kind of have stipulations about. You know, just definitely just try and just steer away from that type of stuff.
So Chemo's asking,
are super important.
If they have an outside of sex thing, do doms and subs maintain those roles usually? I feel it wouldn't be a rule, but I'm not certain. Probably none of my business. No, the whole point of this is asking questions, and
yeah.
So don't worry about that. I think that would entirely depend on the relationship, wouldn't it?
Yep. That's literally what I was about to say.
Yeah, it can, it could, but it doesn't have to, and if you don't want it to, it doesn't.
Again, it's really just on the type of play that you want to.
People are asking if they can call you daddy.
Me? Absolutely.
Oh, there you go.
Call me Daddy Nikki. Oh. Oh my gosh. But seriously, I cannot stress to you how important limits are. I had such a hard time saying my safe word. One of the first times I really wanted to use it, and it just turned out to me literally just begging instead of saying my safe word. Being stubborn like that is only going to make you hurt. So just say when you've had enough, but just say the safe word. My God.
Just be clear. Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't blame your dom if you're not clear.
Yes.
Or your sub if you're
that.
not clear. Do not blame the other person if you're not clear, because that's not fair to them. They didn't do anything that you didn't already agree to, or that you didn't, like, don't... If you don't say your safe word when you want to stop, and they don't stop, and you didn't say that safe word, you can't blame them for that. They haven't done anything wrong. We should start looking to do a wrap-up. We got about 15 minutes left, so anybody who does have any questions in the chat, please tag me now, just so we make sure we get to your questions. Nikki, if you want to start looking for where is going to be a good stopping place, because I'm pretty sure this is going to need a part 2.
Okay. So we only have about 2 more things left. Expectations and care packages. This is almost as important as limits. Just aftercare is very important. A lot of times when you have a sub, they'll have a sub drop. Even doms have dom drops. It's basically at the end of a session when all of the endorphins and the adrenaline are wearing off, you basically drop into a depression. Even if you feel like you don't need it, and it looks different to every person, you need to do it. It needs to happen after every session. This might mean a lot of cuddling. It might mean talking, recovery from physical injury, being led back down from reality.
Self-care.
Self-care. Yeah, self-care. Even if you feel like, again, you don't think you need to do it, please try to do it. And this looks different
I like to get
the,
snacks.
Exactly, yeah. My idea of it is a lot of cuddling, and then also having a discussion about how the whole what's the word, session went, basically. So that's basically what I like, but that's uh the link that I showed you, check. That's all about aftercare. That
Yeah, I
entire
dropped that
blog
in the
is
chat,
aftercare.
right? I just dropped that in the
Yeah.
chat, so it's there for anybody who
So-
wants to take a look. I'll also add it to the, or if you want to send me your Google Doc, I'll grab a link that is shareable that can't be edited that people can look at for all of your notes.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, that works. So, with this, like, literally anything that you feel like is aftercare is aftercare. But at the same time, there are certain things that you should be aware of with that, and just, like, make sure that you get it. If you do feel like that you have subdrop, it can really suck. It can cause depression, appetite loss, irritability, or feeling sad, anxious, and it looks different to everybody, but that's basically the whole nutshell of it. So yes, expectations and care packages. I like to have a discussion beforehand and then a discussion after a session, just to
Hey, if you like cooking, go cook. If you like just having a shower, have a shower. If you like going for a walk, go for a walk. If you like hanging out and watching TV or anime, hang out and watch TV or anime. Whatever you want to do for you, and work that out with your partner ahead of time in case that's not something they want to do, so you have a space. Kawasa for 5 asked, wasn't David Silverman involved in some sort of allegations about a safe world? I can't seem to recall. Yes, he was involved in some garbage. There's a link right there of us having a discussion with him about it, so if you would like to know more, go watch that.
All right, so the last question that I have is how to be safe before and after care and knowing your limits. We have covered a lot of this so far. So the first couple play periods, give yourself an out. Make sure you can escape. That's self-tie, that's for your dom. Just make sure that you can escape. Never tie too tight, never wear shackles too tight. Seriously, any tightness needs to be taken care of and loosened. Numbness, purple limbs, inability to breathe fully, swelling, take care of that quickly. Learn places you shouldn't tie and do not tie there. Nerve damage, vein stress, and lack of blood flow can actually make you pass out or die quickly. When it comes to brain damage, and again, nerve damage, if you aren't in a neutral tie, do not let your dom leave. They need to be able to untie you quickly if there is an emergency. If your mouth is covered, have snap be the safe word. For example, I have 2 to 3 snaps be the safe word when I cannot use words. Before care can be a
safe
slow
word's not going to
lead
do
up.
you a whole lot of good when you can't talk.
Exactly, yes. If you do have something covering your mouth, again, snaps or stomps, anything to make the person know that you need to stop immediately. And again, I when you go with ties, I know you want to be tight. I know you want that experience of just helplessness and not being able to get out, but you need to make sure that if your fingers go numb, if your hand is purple, if it feels a little bit tight, make sure you loosen it enough to where maybe you can't get out after a couple sessions. That's totally fine. Just make sure it's not tight enough. Cut off your blood circulation. People have literally died. Come on.
Yeah, that's a good way to lose a limb also.
Yes, yeah. And like I said,
How did you lose your arm?
nerve
Well, I
damage.
was fucking this one night, and
And again, that has to do with like where to tie as well. There are literally certain places where you are not allowed to tie, and you should never tie. For example, the inside of your thighs actually have a bigger blood vessel than the inside of your neck, your jugular vein, or your shoulders. There should never be enough pressure on your thigh to cut off that circulation. That can cause nerve damage, especially people tie around the wrist. That's like literally that's the first place people will go to tie. Around your wrists are the biggest concentration of nerves and veins that close to the skin. Just make sure that there is enough surface area to not cut off one tiny specific part of your wrist. Basically, it's about surface area. It's about making sure that that tightness doesn't cut off that circulation. Nerve damage happens most readily in your hands and your feet. But having like a collar on, that's totally fine. I've had a collar on. Again, it's surface area.
So there's a question in the chat that asks, shouldn't choking be handled manually?
It really just depends on what you feel.
If you know what you're doing.
Yes, yeah. So specifically, one of my hard limits is asphyxiation, but I do like to choke. So there's a thing with that. Autoerotic asphyxiation is incredibly dangerous, but if you're with another person and they're choking you, make sure they know what they're doing. If you need that to get off, that's totally fine. Just make sure make sure you've researched everything that could go wrong with that situation.
Yeah, if you're
Use
gonna
a
do
belt.
something, research it and talk to people who have already done it. That's the point of the forums.
Yes.
To talk to
Yes.
people who have done it, saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, is there anything I should look out for? I've got this, and this in place, am I missing anything?
Yes, absolutely.
Have the wealth
And
of human knowledge at your fingertips. Use it.
You have a little square in your pocket, Jesus. But seriously, like it's pretty simple. I mean, if you want to use like a belt, that's fine. I've used a collar a couple times, but it has never been tight enough to where it cuts off circulation. There has always been a 1 or 2 finger distance between my neck and the collar, unless it's a very small collar that is not meant to be pulled. All of the safety stuff is going to help you in the long run. I understand diving in head first, and again, I did have an injury one time. We were in a situation, I was incredibly intoxicated, and this was very deep into our play. So this is almost a year after we first started. And there was significant damage done to a certain body part. And I did get sick afterwards as well. So basically, I was just in complete agony. And the entire thing could have been avoided if I would have not been super drunk. So if you want to get, tipsy, that's fine. But be careful.
Know your
about,
limits.
Yes. Again, I mean, I thought we were totally fine. I thought I had this. I was under control. And I still got hurt really bad. And it almost... like it could have been really bad, but luckily it was just a very small tear. Nothing came of it, but honestly, we went in too fast. We were drunk. Both of us were drunk. So definitely make sure that one of you has a little bit more of your wits about you than the other. I was tied. I had a gag in my mouth. It was just, the whole thing was basically just spelling disaster.
Padme said
again,
knowing how to untie is more important than learning to tie.
Yes, that is so true. Thank you, Padme. Oh my god. That's really important. We did have another situation where I did have a gag in my mouth. I was tied, and then there was a lot more pain than I was expecting, and we needed to stop the scene immediately. I didn't have to snap. I didn't have to say any words, and he immediately knew that he went too far and immediately took it off, but untying me took way too long. So just make sure that when you're practicing ties before you do a situation, you know how to untie them. Have scissors at your side.
Goes both ways.
Yes, if you're using rope, make sure you have scissors at your side that you can use to cut through those. That was one form of practical advice that I used. So yeah, there's that. I can't think of any other situations. Is there any advice that you would like to give, Padme? Just from a Dom's perspective. Slurring a little bit.
So I actually know another guy who's a who's a Dom, and I think it would be worthwhile to bring both of them on and maybe have a little bit more of this conversation as a part 2. So that way you can kind of get it from the sub's perspective, then you can get it from the dom's perspective, and then we can go into switches and stuff like that, and we can make this a little bit more of a running thing, because I think there's a lot to go over, and there's a lot of like smaller bits and nuance to things, and I think that would probably be really beneficial to people. If Padme's interested in that,
Absolutely.
and if the other person I know is also interested, I'll reach out to them, and if they want to, like, obviously I wouldn't make them come on or something like that. I am so domineering. I dom the doms, and I tell those doms exactly what they need to do and where they need to be and when they need to be there.
No, Padme, I want you to, like, is there any, like, practical advice you'd like to give? Like, Jesus.
Important
Padme,
important thing about standard belt buckles is that they have to be tightened before they get loose. It's easy to miss and can be a problem, especially if swelling is involved. Yes. Be aware that your skin can swell, so if you've tied too tight and you're swelling because you're rubbing against whatever ropes, they're going to be more difficult to get off.
Yeah.
Different waxes are different temperatures. That's all I got. I mean, yeah, look out. Make sure you use the right kind of wax if you're going to do any kind of wax play, because some wax will be way too hot and doesn't cool well enough on the skin, and you get burns.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, should I
welt
do...
and blister up, too.
Yes. So we only have like a minute or two, so unfortunately I'm not going to do my reading this time. Maybe next time, because we are out of time tonight. So feel free to leave any questions.
Call me to shop.
Well, no, this is your show. Feel free to ask any questions, or if there's anything you want more details on, leave them in the comments below. We'll be able to go over them next time, hopefully with Nikki and potentially 2 other doms here, to be able to get that sorted, and we'll be able to answer more of your questions now that we kind of have a little bit of baseline now to work off of. So I'm hoping we can kind of build on this a little bit and make things more accessible for people. Be safe out there. Always be safe.
Yeah.
Last word from you?
Yeah, honestly, communication and safety are the 2 most important things when you're with it. If you can't communicate effectively, you need to take a step back and figure out how to do that, and then come back and do it.
And that applies even if you have communicated effectively in the past. At any point, communication can break down. So if you are having trouble at any point, even if you've been with somebody for years, there's nothing wrong with taking a step back and reassessing and then going back.
Yeah, 100%. Remember, this whole the whole thing is about you and another person, just basically exploring and having fun. Don't forget the fact that you're supposed to be having fun, and it should be fun for you. Find the people that you click with. Find the people that match up to the stuff that you like. It's not that hard. And again, go onto online resources. There's so much information that you can access. And I'm always available for questions. So yeah, that's basically everything. I'm pretty excited for part 2, so.
Well, have fun out there, everybody. Remember, have fun, be safe, communicate, and we'll see you guys next time, all right? Bye.